proride, we realize riding is more than an economical form of transport. It feels good. Let's call this the fun and freedom factor. Probably the hardest thing about riding is having the self-control to keep this fun and freedom factor in check. There's a fine line between enjoying riding and taking risks without thinking things through.
But other drivers, come out of nowhere. You can't expect everyone else to know how to drive properly. And if there's a mistake made, you're going to be the one that gets hurt. The car might get dented and stuff, but you're going to go down. You're going to be screwed.
A lot of times, when you're first riding, I think you get a little overconfident, so take it easy on the bike.
There's all those sorts of hazards out there on the road you gotta keep an eye out for. So if you're riding down a residential area with cars parked on both sides, a cat, a ball, kid, anything come racing out there. So what you gotta do is just look ahead of you, in front of you, and just keep an eye and go a little slower than you actually should be.
Self-control skills are very important on the road. You have to be disciplined as a rider. You have to be aware of everything around you all the time. The survival rider philosophy is to keep a safe balance between enjoying your riding and high-risk riding. We'll give you some ideas on how to stay in control of yourself so you can enjoy riding as long as you like, rather than remember how good riding used to be. What do we mean by high-risk riding? Well, it's when you put yourself in a position where you depend on luck to get you through, or where one mistake can cost you big time. It's when you put yourself in a potentially dangerous situation to get some minor benefit. You might do this deliberately or without thinking. As the rider approaches the curve, his visibility is reduced. He doesn't back off enough, so he is increasing his level of risk. It's potentially dangerous. A car cutting the corner, gravel on the road, a strip of water, or just about anything could be in the rider's survival space, and the rider is risking a crash. So what's the benefit? Some riders might say the excitement or being seen as a quick rider. Well, here's another example. A potentially dangerous situation. Though the car driver should stop here, if he doesn't, the rider might not be able to avoid crashing. How has this riding action benefited the rider? Well, it saved him a bit of effort, maybe, the effort of slowing down and moving away, but he was risking his life to do that. And this is risk-taking too. It's potentially dangerous because if the car stops suddenly, the rider will crash into it. So what's the benefit? Well, the rider would probably say it means that no one else would get the space, but he was risking a crash to do that. In serious single vehicle crashes, more often than not, alcohol is involved. The rider was over the limit. Combining alcohol, drugs, and riding is extremely dangerous. Risk-taking is putting you in potentially dangerous situations, risking a crash, injury, or even death for some benefit. The so-called benefit of getting there quicker, being accepted, looking cool, or whatever. So, how do you keep in control? The first step in making decisions about risk-taking is accepting that we have to look after our own survival, not hand it over to other road users or leave it to luck. So instead of thinking, that idiot cut me off, there's nothing I can do about it, you could instead say, I let him into my survival space. If I had been more awake, I would have seen him and got out of the way, but I didn't give myself enough time to react. Now this sort of response takes some self-control. It's an attitude to riding where you can say, there must be something I could have done. This kind of attitude is great for learning more about risks because it helps you learn from every mistake. If we guard our survival space so no cars or other road users get into it, and the road surface is good, we are keeping down our level of risk. When situations are riskier, slow down or move away from the danger. Thoughtful riding makes bike control look easy, but it also takes self-control. Quite a bit of it. Even with self-control, there will be times when other thoughts or feelings push your risk up too high. Let's look at an afternoon ride with a group of friends. A sunny day, great curves, great views. What could be better? Something inside is pushing. Something inside is encouraging us to take unacceptable risks. We want to impress our friends, be the fastest rider, Or maybe it's too hot to wear protective clothing. We want to be young and carefree, rediscover our youth. We think we should keep up with other riders. We feel the need to prove ourselves, even if it means taking unnecessary risks. These are feelings that are not easy to deal with, and we have all felt them one time or another. Survival riding means you keep your fun and freedom factor in check.
Just staying within your known abilities, and just get to know the roads really well before you start upping the speed.
First, look at yourself riding and watch the situations you get yourself into. This might be in curves, in traffic, or with friends. Once you have recognized the risk-taking situation, take the next step. Consider the choices that are open to you. 1. Choose the potential danger or high risk and how this benefits you. Or 2. Choose a safe alternative and the benefits of this choice. Well, let's consider the potential danger and the high risk approach. We all know that repairing or replacing a bike is expensive, far too expensive. Not all risks end in crashes, but there is a chance you will fall off your bike at some stage. Some of the so-called benefits in the high-risk approach to riding are saving some effort by not slowing down and moving away, looking cool, being seen as quick, and so on. Are these real benefits? Is it worth getting injured or worse?
And, you just gotta take it easy and resist the urge to show off to all our friends and buddies and all the other cars out there how what a great performance vehicle we're driving.
The only place to race is on a racetrack. I mean, people choose to race on, old country roads, on the highway, and city streets and stuff, and it's just not the right place to do it.
Because like I said, I've been riding for that long. I've had a few close calls. Might not be necessarily my fault. There could be other things happening in traffic that you need to avoid, things like that. It's just, hey, that's why accidents happen. Unexpected things can happen.
Now consider the safer alternative and its benefits. It will save you money, save you all the stress, no injuries, no grief for family and friends, no downside. The safer alternative can take a lot of self-control, but it will help you enjoy riding for as long as you want to ride. Motorcycle controls should be operated by sense of touch. Keep your eyes up and on the traffic around you. This is the clutch. It controls power to the wheel. Keep it in all the way to slow or stop. Let it out part way to get going, and rest once you're underway. The right-hand lever is the front brake. This also activates the brake light. The accelerator is a twist grip on the right handlebar. Twist down for speed, roll off to slow. There are also a number of thumb controls. Feel around for these controls without looking in order to learn proper motorcycle operation. Slide the nub to the left to activate the left turn signal. Slide the nub to the right to activate the right turn signal. And push to cancel the turn signals. The thumb on the left hand also activates the horn. Some models have a manual choke. The ignition switch allows power to the motorcycle. The thumb of the right hand is used for the engine kill switch and the starter. The fuel valve is located on the left side of the motorcycle. This allows fuel supply to be turned off or placed on reserve. The right foot pedal is the rear brake. This also activates the brake light. The left foot control is the gear shift lever. Lift it up to shift up and push it down to downshift. The instrument panel provides information such as speed, as well as high beam indicator, neutral light, and turn signal indicator. Some bikes have a low fuel indicator light. No matter what we ride, we are all on two wheels. The first thing you have to decide is, what do I wear when I ride? Your gear is the only thing that will protect you in an accident. It has to act as seatbelt, airbag, and metal cage all in one. A motorcycle-grade leather or Kevlar 1 or 2 piece is vital for survival. This also includes a full-face helmet. Make sure the visor is clean and free of scratches. Leave some room for air and control your breathing to keep it from fogging. As well, bright colors will make you more visible at night and keep you cooler in the day. Proper gloves will protect your hands and give you better grip on the controls. The right boots keep feet safe, as well as warm and dry. It's best to spend a little extra, rather than look foolish and get hurt. Remember, it's never too hot to wear your gear. A pre-ride check can be a quick and easy way to ensure your bike is safe to operate, using the term T-clock. The T stands for tires. Check the tires and rims for inflation, bald spots, bulges, cracks, and debris. No slippery tire dressing on those sidewalls. The C stands for controls. Check the hand and foot controls for bends, stiffness, and adjustment. The cables should also be checked for fraying and for lubrication. L is for lights. Any of the lights on the bike could burn out at any time, so be sure to check each one daily. O is for oil. Check the oil level and color with a dipstick or sight glass. It should be changed every 5,000 kilometers. The brake fluid should be at least half full. If not, get it checked. The second C stands for chain. If your bike is chain drive, don't neglect it. It should be lubricated and adjusted regularly. Finally, the K is for kickstand. Make sure it stays up and out of the way when riding. People often have difficulty getting their bike started. To ensure nothing is missed, use the acronym FIND-BC. F is the fuel valve. Check to see that it is in the run or on position. I is ignition. Turn the key to the on position. N stands for neutral. It is a good idea to put the bike in neutral before trying to start it. E is engine kill switch. The bike will not start until this switch is in the run position. The B means to keep the brake applied for startup, and the C means to keep the clutch in. C also stands for choke if the engine is cold. If your bike doesn't start, check controls again before calling the tow truck. Proper posture will ensure comfort and visibility. Keep your head and eyes up for visual field and balance. Keep the front brake and clutch levers covered at all times. Hold the throttle with the wrist down and the knuckles up. Knees and elbows in. Adjust your mirrors so you can see the outer part of your shoulder and what's behind you. Toes should stay in contact with the foot controls, but not covering them. Make sure your toes don't get caught under the foot controls when cornering. It is very important to relax on the motorcycle. Tension or panic will cause only problems. Because motorcycles have only 2 wheels, traction is vital. One can never demand more traction than is available. Avoid sharp cornering over slippery surfaces. It is the same thing when braking. Ease off the brakes when you're approaching slippery surfaces, then reapply on the other side. This includes wet manhole covers and wet painted lines. If you are approaching something slippery on the road, in a curve, straighten up as you go over it. One more thing about traction. To understand the best method for braking, let's first look at the effect braking has on a bike. As we brake, the weight of the bike starts to move from both wheels to mostly the front wheel. The harder the bike stops, the more weight transfers to the front. When the weight transfers progressively, it lets the front tire grip the road more. The tire has more downward force and more surface contact. At the same time, the rear tire grip is reduced. To stop quickly, you'll need good grip. Because of this, there is a limit to the amount of stopping the rear brake can do. In good conditions, the front brake provides nearly all of your stopping power. Here we see a braking demonstration. The rider on the right is using the rear brake only. The rider in the middle is using the front brake. And the rider on the left is using both brakes together. As you can see, using both brakes together is the best way to stop. Now, let's look at the two parts of good braking: setup and squeeze. The first part, setting up, prepares you and the bike for braking. Apply the front and back brake levers just until the brakes start to work. This stage takes all the slack from the suspension and gently delivers weight to the front tire, giving it more grip. Also, your brake light comes on, warning the person behind you you may be going to stop. Your bike is set up to brake hard. Now comes the second part of good braking, the squeeze. Progressively squeeze the brake levers gently at first, then gradually harder and harder to stop the bike. You should practice this. On sport and race style motorcycles, use the front brake to stop. Good riders rarely put themselves in emergency situations. They try to anticipate trouble and know how to brake well. The first step to going through a curve is to slow to an appropriate speed. Entry speed is limited by turn radius, visibility, and surface conditions. Next, look to where you want to go. Turn your head and eyes to look all the way through the exit and beyond. Resist the temptation to glance at the outside of the curve. This will cause you to drift wide. Now lean the bike into the curve. At speed, push out on the right handlebar to go right, and push the left handlebar out to go left. Be sure to keep the speed up when the bike is leaned over. If you roll off the throttle in a corner, the bike will pull down. If you need to stop in a curve, straighten up first, then apply the brakes. You should cut the corner at the midpoint, as this will give you room so you don't go out of your lane. You should practice this. It's common for new riders to drop their bike while at walking speeds. This is caused by applying the front brake while the front tire is turned. You must get in the habit of always straightening the bike before you brake. If you grab the brake too quickly, you will lock the wheel. If you lock the front wheel, release the brake immediately, then reapply the brakes smoothly. If you lock the rear wheel, steer the bike straight and release. Once again, if you lock the front wheel, release the brake and reapply smoothly. And if you lock the rear wheel, steer the bike straight and release. On the street, you have twice the danger. You have to avoid other people's mistakes and your own. Start by mentally preparing for the ride. Free your mind of distractions that may preoccupy you while you're riding. Stress, anger, grief, and fatigue can all impair your riding ability. Focus your mind on spotting hazards and plan a way to avoid them before it's too late. Predict what other traffic may do and how it can be avoided. And when in doubt, slow down. This will give you more reaction time and a shorter stopping distance. Drugs and alcohol are the cause of a large percentage of motorcycle accidents. You may not feel the effects, but reactions are compromised even after one drink. But with a little mental focus, you can keep you and your bike safe. Intersections are the most dangerous place for riders. This is the most common place for a motorcycle accident to occur. Drivers will cross your path at the last moment. You must keep away from them. Slow down as you approach intersections. Move away from dangers. This will give you more reaction time if the car pulls out in front of you. The oncoming car making a left turn is the #1 danger in the intersection. Cars will often misjudge our approach speed and distance. Prepare to stop hard by applying little front brake, and then pick a plan of action for possible hazards. Take action before it becomes a problem. If there is an oncoming car making a left turn, move to the right portion of the lane and slow down. If your speed is too high, the situation is out of your control. It's that simple. If you're not prepared, you could be hit. In multiple lane situations, use other cars as blockers. Never stop in the center portion of the road, as there is too much oil and antifreeze. And when the light turns green, let things settle before you go. When turning left, be sure all opposing lanes are clear before committing to the turn. If something is blocking your view, just nose up and peek around. When turning right, move into the right portion of your lane. This will allow cars to pass you. If you do not move over, they may try to pass on the inside. Statistically, freeways are much safer than regular city streets. This is because on a freeway, all traffic is moving in the same direction. This removes the urban motorcyclist's number one danger, the driver who turns left in front of you. Things happen fast on freeways. This increased speed calls for quicker reactions on your part. You must size up situations very quickly. In order to deal with these situations, you must look further ahead. This is very important. As your speed increases, you must also increase your forward field of vision. If the vehicle ahead of you blocks your view, change lanes, and always be looking ahead for things that may be laying on the road surface. If you spot debris in your path, don't look at it. Look instead at where you want to go. If it's unavoidable, stay off of your brakes as you run over it. Never hit an object while turning or braking. It's the same as running over a slippery surface. Keep your eyes up, straighten up, and ease off the brakes. Peripheral vision is very important while riding on the freeway. Look for blind spots and get out of them. Move away from on-ramps. You can expect cars to cut you off as they enter the flow of traffic. Just move over before you arrive at this danger zone, and don't get boxed in. When changing lanes, don't lose sight of what's in front of you. Turn back enough just to clear your blind spot, then make the change. As you approach curves, pick an appropriate speed and move to the outside of the lane. That will let you see farther around the corner. Stay wide until you can see all the way to the exit, then cut the corner. If you enter on the inside part of your lane, or lean it over too early, you could drift wide at the exit. On curves to the right, be especially watchful for cars over the center line. Here are the lines again. The outside line and the inside line. Again, a deep outside line lets you see the dangers like objects in the road. On a decreasing radius turn, stay wide longer, then apex at the tightest point. Again, stay wide until you can see all the way through the corner to its exit. Sometimes riders get into trouble in multiple curves. The key is to look all the way ahead and plan for the next one. This is a good time to mention that a large portion of riders crash in curves that have a visual distraction. Always be sure to look where you want to go. One thing we can't stress enough: don't race on mountain roads.
Do. And if you are going to ride in groups, stay within your comfort level. Resist the urge to kind of show off and say to yourself you know what you're doing, because you don't. You're going to need the experience. You need to get out there riding with your comfort level and slowly break out of that. Take additional courses if necessary, and take it easy.
Don't be afraid to ride in the rain. It's the same as the dry. Just go a little slower. Avoid abrupt changes in speed or direction, as the road is slippery. Ease those brakes on slowly, and don't lean it over as much as you would in the dry. The worst part about riding in the rain is visibility. You can't see as far ahead, especially after dark. The only way to compensate is to slow down. Be especially careful at the beginning of a rainfall. The first drops of water will have a tendency to mix with the oil on the road surfaces. Riding with a passenger places added responsibility on you. They're in your hands. Instruct your passenger to relax and hold on to you. They shouldn't be moving around or talking on the bike. When cornering, your passenger should lean with you. Instruct them in this practice, because they will likely want to lean away from the corner when you enter it. This will cause you to go wide. Leave a margin for passenger error. Go slower. Allow more room for braking, as the added weight will increase the stopping distance. Passengers should keep their feet on the pegs. The most common mistake is passenger gear. If your passenger does not have proper gear, do not take them. The ICBC motorcycle road test is very involved. Many people fail because they don't understand the marking criteria. There are 5 global categories. First, let's talk about speed control. On the main street, aim for 55 kilometers per hour. On the side street, 40 is appropriate, depending on traction and visibility. Watch out for school and playground zones posted as 30. Be sure not to go even 1 kilometer over. On the freeway or highway, be sure to match the speed of traffic before you merge. It is common to fail for merging too slow. Once on the freeway, aim for 10% above the speed limit. Another global skill is communication. Use your turn signals 3 seconds before changing lanes and mid to quarter block before a turn. After the turn or crossing the dotted white line, cancel that turn signal right away. You cannot cross a solid white line or change lanes in an intersection. When making a right turn from a stop, you must look backwards over the right shoulder before you go. It's best to exaggerate by turning your head all the way to the left or all the way to the right. You can do this for lane changes, lane position changes, or entering an intersection from a stop. Finally, space margins. Keep the maximum amount of space around you at all times. Follow the car ahead of you 3 seconds on the road test. This is particularly far on the highway. Ride close to the center lane, but not too close to the yellow line. If asked to park, back the motorcycle up at a 45-degree angle with the rear wheel to the curb. In the parking lot, stop, look around 360 degrees, and back the motorcycle into the spot. You may be asked to describe all the hazards you see. Just name everything, including school and playground zones, and any lack of visibility. You'll be asked to perform a U-turn at mid-block on a side street. Shoulder check and pull over to the right. Stop, apply a left turn signal, look all the way you want to go, over the left shoulder, get going in a straight line, look where you want to go, lean away from the turn, and cancel the turn signal. If you are approaching an oncoming car turning left or the crest of a blind hill, shoulder check and move to the right portion of the lane. Uncontrolled intersections are the most dangerous, so slow down. When riding in a group, ride staggered. One in front, one behind, not side by side. If the first member of the group activates their turn signal, pass the message down the line. Replicate the turn signal. Stop tight together, and when it's your turn, go as a group. When making a turn from a stop, stay in your position. Don't ride single file or share the lane. If you get separated at a light, wait for it to turn green, then proceed safely. The front portion should pull over and wait for you. Leave them room to pull in front. When a group changes lanes, let the last member go first to create room for the other riders. And remember, always ride safe.